English is not as well as I would need to speak to you without any bigger problems. It is just a middle class Frankfurt book fair standard. So I prepared my speech in German and let it translate by my colleague Lea into her perfect English. So please forgive me that I will read my speech, and please don't feel too much disturbed for my back pronunciation. Many were the suspicions, rumors and whispers about my relationship with Ute, a relationship that began towards the end of the year 1986 in an attic at Ronda Guinardó in Barcelona. A mysterious union was formed in this attic, or it seemed to many who were puzzled to see the elegant, cultivated, at times glamorous Ute in company of this strange, unknown immigrant who didn't even speak a word of Spanish, let alone Catalan. Some of you in this room took part in the speculations at that time, and you remember that the most common label we were given was the one Ute and her new lover. Or as Rodewald Eckert from Heine Verlag once put it, die Körner und ihr Schmusi. Some like Brigitte Hugendubel thought we were married and would never fail to pass their regards to your spouse, while others, like Cristobal Zaragoza, thought I was her son and were surprised to see that I had already grown so much. To us, these speculations and the inability of the people to look beyond the obvious always have been nothing less than hilarious. And those who knew Ute as well and got to know me better soon realized that the rumors could not be true. And yet, besides or maybe even because of our obvious differences, there was a kind of blind understanding between us. From the very first moment on, Ute trusted in me with a confidence that can only be called unlimited. To know whom to trust and whom not was one of her greatest gifts. It is no understatement to say that she had a sixth sense that only were very, very rarely failed. And once she had decided to trust someone, there were no turning point, no holding back. She would take you to your heart. Yes, she had a very great heart. It is paradox that in the end, it was this very same heart, great heart, that failed her. To those of you who will insist in categorizing my relationship to Ute, let me tell that maybe the one term that best describes our connection is that of a sister and a brother. Especially in the beginning, Ute was my big sister, and I was the little brother. As it is with siblings, over time I matured, and the distinction between older and younger became less pronounced, at times even to the point that all roles reversed. Sister and brother, with all its implications, of course, we as well had quarrels, but we always knew and never doubted that we are made for each other until the end of our days. Ute grew up in the gloomy atmosphere of the post-war Germany. At the beginning of the 60s, she had but one desire: escape her oppressive Catholic environment and become a flight attendant at Lufthansa, a profession that at the time was considered synonymous to freedom and independence. It is absurd to think that with this background, she wound up in Spain of all countries, a land that, oppressed by Franco's dictatorship, was anything but free. But it was also the land where she met her love to José Moya, where she started her family, and where she found her vocation as a literary agent. Three things that will lay the foundation for her lasting bond to Spain. On the other hand, this meant for her to not live with first-hand, by her own body and soul, the emancipatory movements that took over Europe in the late 60s. Imagine Ute, had she studied in Paris, in Berlin, in Bologna or Berkeley, with her boundless love for freedom and her deep sense for justice, I'm certain we would have seen her on the barricades too, and more than once. I myself was already a child of these social upheavals, and to have me close to her, to have me tell and show her about these times, about our actions, our experiences, about what made us to a certain point free, enabled her to relive these times with me. There were only very few things Ute was not capable of. For example, to think analytically or even dialectically. But that's what she had before. But what I learned from her in return was what? Spontaneity, frankness, positive chaos, and most of all, generosity and tolerance can achieve. Thou rest assured, I have made a conscious effort to maintain my ironic and cynical attitude towards life. Today we do not only want to remember our good friend Ute, being the character and the person that she was, but we also want to celebrate the 25th anniversary of our agency. Ute founded this agency in 1984 with nothing more than a few pieces of furniture she could spare or brought along from the publisher Bulgaria and crammed in a flat of 30 square meters. But she could count on her decade-long experience in an extraordinary sense for books, authors and publishers. Her ability to tell good people from bad people have made this project a success. She was also a true master inspiring people, and she has done so with many during her long and intense professional life. From a personal perspective, this is the one thing I most hope to carry on with in the agency, but not least because of the presence of my wonderful colleague and friend Sandra. There's little doubt we will not succeed. Sandra, this for one provides me with an opportunity to thank you. Thank you for the by now 10 years of working side by side, a time span that has allowed us to sell many good books, and to be honest, also a few bad ones. It is a great privilege to work with you together and to have you as a partner. I would like also to extend my thanks to our wonderful team and their great dedication for our common project. Thank you Raquel, Rosa and Leah who are with us tonight, and thank you those who are holding the fort at home, Christina, Anja, Inigo and Carla. All of this wouldn't make much sense with our authors and their works, our clients, publishers and agency. In short, all those who have entrusted us with their treasures. Not to forget to the many publishers in Spain, Portugal, Brazil and the rest of the world who, after all, are supposed to buy our books. I would like to thank all of them for their long-lasting confidence and loyalty, and especially for their strong support, their solidarity and their care for us during the tough last year, which is now coming to an end. And there's somebody else who should be mentioned here, somebody who at first sight doesn't have anything to do with all of this, but on second sight all the more. My partner Hartmut, don't see him, who back in 1985 took along the challenge Barcelona with me, and who still has since had to put up with my engagement to the firm. Thank you, Hartmut, for all these years of empathy, friendship, and most of all, for your love. I did not have to think too long about the most adequate way to pay my last respects to Ute this evening, as the most adequate farewell can only be one: to sing a song for her. Those who knew Ute well will already know that I can only be referring to one song. A song that many associate with her, one that so many of her old friends heard her sing at the piano bar in Bologna, a song that of course was also sung for her on her surprise birthday party when she turned 65. A song that curiously enough was also the favorite one of my father. And in this sense, it is a thank you to him as well. He was a bookseller with all his body and soul, and it was from him that I picked up the basics of my present-day job from an early age on. So now then, in the tradition of countless already existent interpretations by Lala Anderson, Marlene Dietrich, Frank Sinatra, and many more, you will now hear an intonation by me that may fail in musicality, but is all the more heartfelt, or so I do. Accompanied by Maestro Nikolai Argakov, here is for you the song Millennium.